Friday about 4:20 p.m.
Sibel's allegations had made too many waves.
The person in charge of security division, a Sukum broker, said, well, I would like you to hand me your key to your cabinets and your badge. And I said, well, may I ask why? Based on what reason are you firing me? And this guy, Friel, said, you know why you're being fired? You're being fired because you reported these issues and you reported them to the headquarters, and we don't have to give you a darn reason why you're being fired. And at this point, he got up and he's like, now you're going to be escorted outside the building. At this point, 3 of them, they are escorting me downstairs. And on the way down, Thomas Friel told me, he said, we will be watching you. We will be listening to you. You cannot talk about any of these issues that you reported outside. You don't even have a right to go to any attorney.
Sibel was out of the FBI. But now everyone in the language division was talking about the Dickersons. The time had come for them to disappear. Douglas and Melik Dickerson flew to Europe, never to return. Disowned by the FBI, Sibel decided to turn to Congress. She arranged a meeting with Senators Patrick Leahy and Charles Grassley.
They started talking about whistleblower protection and how I would be covered. And I said, just wait a minute. I am not a whistleblower. I'm not blowing the whistle. And they said, no, you are a whistleblower. And I said, no, I'm not a whistleblower. It took me months and months until I just kind of resigned. I said, fine, I'm a whistleblower.
Sibel didn't stop there. She filed 2 claims, one for unfair dismissal and the other for breach of freedom of speech. The Department of Justice had no choice but to start an internal inquiry. Months went by. Seeing that the inquiry was leading nowhere and that Congress had failed to act, Sibel turned to the media.
We had wiretaps that were translated. Where do you think the truth lies? And that's what the American people need to learn about. I'm talking about those people who make decisions not to act on certain translations, certain intelligence pieces before 9/11 and after 9/11. They haven't mentioned anybody who actually is connected to Al-Qaeda in mid or higher level. And it's just Kafkaesque.
Sibel had gone too far for her former bosses. The FBI director handed the case over to the then Attorney General, John Ashcroft. Ashcroft's reaction was extreme.
On October 18, 2002, my 10th wedding anniversary, I was informed that the Attorney General, John Ashcroft, had invoked this rarely invoked privilege called the state secret privilege. Based on this privilege, everything that had to do with my case was considered top secret, classified, and a matter of national security, which requested the courts to put a stop in any process that dealt with my case, whether or not I was right or not.
State secrets privilege is an all-powerful political and legal weapon dating from the 1950s. In the wake of 9/11, it was a favorite of the Bush administration. Mueller and Ashcroft managed to block Sibel's lawsuits. The message was clear: keep quiet or go to jail. Gagged in the name of national security, Sibel said no more for 2 years.
It was like this awful, awful time. So I came to this point that nothing was going to happen. And during this time, they had just finished establishing the 9/11 Commission.
We must uncover every detail and learn every lesson of September the 11th.
Keen to unite the country at a time of conflict, the Bush administration agreed to a Congressional Commission of Inquiry into September 11th. Its mandate included investigating shortcomings in U.S. intelligence agencies that had made the attacks possible.
This is the only hope we have, this 9/11 Commission report. They're going to say what's wrong. For example, with the FBI translation units, which a lot of things are wrong.
Behind closed doors, Sibel gave the commission her testimony, once again revealing all she knew. And the White House had just made its first mistake.
Condoleezza Rice had just come out and made the statement saying,
I don't think anybody could have predicted that these people would take an airplane and slam it into the World Trade Center.
To say that we had no specific information, that was an outrageous lie. And she's a national security advisor there. And all those people, they report to her to say we didn't have it. So when we came out of one of the 9/11 Commission hearings, 9/11 family members, they just pointed at me and they said, you know, she's one of those people who was outraged with the recent statement by Condoleezza Rice. And suddenly all these cameras started flashing on my face. It's like, well, what do you think of this statement? And I said, well, that was an outrageous lie. And then for the first time, that made all the headlines.
Her name is Sybil Edmonds, can you repeat again the information that you have to substantiate?
And I gave an explanation. I said, she said we. We includes National Security Advisor, includes the FBI, the CIA, the NSA. That's what we means. And she said we.
Sibel's comments sowed the seeds of doubt in a nation yearning for truth. Condoleezza Rice was forced to backtrack on what she had said.
As I said to you in the private session, I probably should have said I could have not imagined, because within 2 days, people started to come to me and say, oh, but there were these reports in 1998 and 1999.
So that was the start of me outside, doing it outwardly, doing it more publicly, and doing it more visibly.
On the 24th of July, 2004, the 9/11 Commission released its report. America looked to it for the truth. But not one of the report's 567 pages made any reference to Sibel's claims.
Good morning. My name is Laurie Van Auken. On the morning of September 11th, my husband Kenneth was killed while at his office on the 105th floor of the North Tower at the World Trade Center. The 9/11 Commission